Welcome to the only Dashcam channel that features exclusive Dashcam videos you won't find anywhere else. Buckle up, it's gonna be a bumpy ride. Cameron only had 12,000 miles on his 2022 Jeep Gladiator Rubicon EcoDiesel when a teenager driving a Honda failed to yield, turning in front of him and causing a brutal T-bone collision. Cameron said he'd only had the pickup for 6 months when this happened. The insurance claim is still being processed, but he fully expects them to pay off the truck and cover his medical bills based on this footage. Cameron described his Jeep Gladiator as his dream car and told us, "Rip to a real one. We feel you, bro. We're just glad you're okay." Our next video shares several similarities with the last one. Once again, a Honda driver turned in front of oncoming traffic when he should have yielded, causing a collision. Lou was unfortunate enough to be waiting at the red light, and the Honda rolled into his car before stopping. Then, the Honda driver misapplied the accelerator, ramming into Lou's car again. In total, $5,000 in damage was done to Lou's Nissan Armada. Lou told us the Honda driver was cited for failing to yield after lying to the police about having a protected left turn arrow. That's not even the worst part. The Honda driver was unlicensed and uninsured, and he'd already been cited for driving without a license just a few months earlier. Jensen and his brother were on their way home after a long day of delivering packages when they suddenly encountered 3 police cars chasing a vehicle with a broken headlight. Jensen told us they were tired and just wanted to go home, so they kept going. He also wanted to tell our viewers to stay safe out there. Our next submitter labeled his submission a Honda bump, but he was the one driving the Honda, and it might be hard to blame this collision on him. On his way home from work, he was following a garbage truck whose driver suddenly realized he'd missed his turn. Without looking, he backed up, smashing into our submitter's Civic. Our submitter wasn't able to react in time to avoid the collision. He's since filed an insurance claim, and the garbage collection company will be paying for the repairs. Thankfully, there were no injuries. The initial repair estimate is over $9,000, but it's expected to increase once a full inspection can be performed. Jacob and his wife were behind a student driver when they were suddenly passed by a Mercedes driver who was recklessly weaving between lanes to get ahead of traffic. Thankfully, no collisions occurred. Jacob reported the reckless driver to the police, but he doesn't know if they plan to do anything about it. Oziel was driving down a highway in his Honda Civic. Now, I know what you're thinking, but what happened next actually wasn't his fault. Up ahead, 2 other vehicles had stopped in the highway after an earlier collision. The driver of a speeding Cadillac wasn't paying attention and almost rear-ended another car.
You're gonna crash, bro. Oh my.
When the Cadillac driver tried to swerve around the other car, they nearly ran into the 2 stopped vehicles. Then they sped off into the distance, evidently unfazed by what had just happened. Alec was in a left turn lane on his way to Burger King. Suddenly, the driver of a Dodge Durango, which had already had its front bumper cover replaced once before, lost traction on the wet road surface and slid into Alec's Audi A4. Alec's airbags deployed and his car refused to start. The other driver told him she was a volunteer firefighter and began directing traffic while they waited for the police to respond. Repairing Alec's Audi cost $11,000 and negotiating the insurance settlement took a month. Meanwhile, the other driver kicked her bumper off so she could keep driving her Durango. Anikate was featured way back on episode number 11 of Wham Bam Dashcam. This time, he was driving down I-5 when he heard a loud bang followed by his Honda Accord violently shaking. Thankfully, he was able to maintain control while pulling onto the inside shoulder. One of the driver's side tires had exploded, and replacing it cost $300 and took 4 hours. It took 2 hours for roadside assistance to arrive and an hour and a half for Les Schwab to replace his tire. By the way, did you know about 30% of new cars are sold without spare tires? Manuel was leaving In-N-Out and headed home when another driver came flying out of a parking lot and into Manuel's lane. Thankfully, Manuel was paying attention. He slammed on his brakes and honked, barely avoiding a collision. He thinks everyone should get a dash cam. We agree. Check the description for a link to the one we recommend. This emitter had a Prius driver speed around him on the right by using a right turn lane. At the next traffic signal, she got stopped behind a Tesla. When the light turned green, the Prius driver hit the gas before the Tesla driver hit the juice, rear-ending it. Look at that! We finally had a video where the Tesla driver was the innocent victim. Don't worry, we've still got a Tesla behaving badly clip for you, but we need more. Use the link in the description to send us your dashcam videos. Angel watched a Tesla driver in a left turn lane decide to turn right instead, cutting off a van in the process.
That Tesla man can't drive. That Tesla man can't drive.
Thankfully, the van was being operated by a better driver than the Tesla was, and no collision occurred. Personally, I think that was 100% human error. Autopilot is pretty smart, but human drivers do stuff like this all the time. Twiggy was headed home with a friend when the driver of a Toyota Camry made a sudden U-turn in front of them. Twiggy slammed on the brakes and honked, but the other driver didn't seem to care. They just kept going, doing their best to keep their distance from the Camry driver. Jack was driving across the San Francisco Bay Bridge when he suddenly noticed an SUV dive for the shoulder. He didn't realize why the driver was pulling over until he reviewed his dashcam footage. Let's take a closer look. It seems the SUV first ricocheted off the concrete barrier, then hit and spun out another vehicle before crossing all lanes and stopping on the shoulder. Miranda was heading home from work when she watched the driver of a Ford Explorer misjudge a turn and hop a curb. Thankfully, nothing serious happened, but Miranda told us she laughed about it the whole way home. Brandon was about to drive through a green light when a car in the oncoming turn lane decided that was the perfect time to turn across traffic. Brandon slammed the brakes and honked his horn while the SUV next to him came much closer to hitting the Mercury Grand Marquis. Brandon thinks the other driver was trying to commit insurance fraud, which is why he got a dashcam in the first place. Jonathan was letting his girlfriend borrow his Chevy Tracker while he was working on her Kia Soul. Less than a mile down the road, she was struck by a Nissan Versa.
What the?
Both drivers turned into a gas station to exchange information. Thankfully, the damage wasn't severe, so Jonathan chose not to make an insurance claim. He wanted to shout out his girlfriend Haley for being absolutely amazing. Mo was driving along when he noticed a police car stopped on the side of the road. Now, it's hard to tell where it came from, but a van driver made some kind of illegal maneuver behind Mo, drawing the attention of the cop. As the van driver sped around and cut off Mo, the cop activated lights and sirens to catch up to them, pulling them over before they were able to cause any more chaos. Gotta love that instant justice. This emitter was driving along when an oncoming driver crossed double yellow lines to pass another vehicle, nearly hitting them in the process. Thankfully, our submitter got out of the way. He told us he thinks the guy was in a hurry to get home and see himself on Wham Bam Dashcam. This emitter was taking her sons to school when another driver suddenly T-boned them in an intersection. The impact rendered her Toyota undrivable. Thankfully, her friend was able to pick up her sons and give them a ride to school. Shout out to her sons who helped her send in this video. They've been fans of Wham Bam for 2 years. This submitter was heading home after a day of plane spotting when he noticed a rather interesting vehicle driving in the right lane. Here at Wham Bam Dashcam, we're notorious for misidentifying vehicles, but I'm not even gonna try with this one. Our submitter thinks this pickup is actually parts from 3 trucks bolted together. What do you think? Comment below, or better yet, come discuss it with the Wham Bam team in our patron-only Discord server. The link is in the description below. See you there!
Wham, bam, we got a Patreon, man. Please support the show.
Want to win a Wham Bam hoodie? We're giving one away every week for 10 weeks. To enter, send a video in to our newest channel, Wham Bam Security Cam. If your video is used in an episode, you'll be entered in the giveaway. Then, make sure you're subscribed to Wham Bam Security Cam so you'll know if you win. Good luck!